Hello and welcome to Wayne's Lock Shop. Today we're going to be replacing a center hung Jackson or International style concealed door closer. These door closers allow the door to swing both ways, so they swing in and out, and it's a very nice clean look as the closer and the bearing, all the pivots and everything are inside the door and in the frame, so there's really nothing to be seen. The first step is to remove the door. Usually they will have a side block or a rear mounted block. This one had a side mounted block, meaning that the block that actually holds the closer to the arm, it holds the pivot or the stud of the concealed closer to the actual arm that is mounted in the door, releases from the side. They're either going to release from the side or the back in most cases. Here, now that we have the door down, here we notice that the bottom bearing is moving. So there is a nut and that bottom stud that sits in the threshold. The solution to this, because this threshold was already severely damaged and it looked like it was going to be a nightmare if we tried to pull that up to remount all the Tapcons and all the concrete fasteners, the solution we came up with was to inject epoxy in between the threshold and the bottom of the concrete there. When we did that bolt kit. Okay. So that'll be for the block and everything.
I believe we'll have to flip the door over
to access that screw.
This one here that goes through that one.
Okay, we can do that. So you're saying those two square openings seem identical, but the one on this arm seems kind of bent? Continuing to talk about the bearing and the epoxy. When we did that, the epoxy is a quick drying 1 to 5 minute epoxy. I like the 1 minute or 5 minute. Either one will work just fine. When you inject it down into there, it actually holds that bottom nut and remains pliable enough that you can go ahead and tighten the pivot down into it. Disadvantages to using that method are if you don't get it right the first time, there is no moving it afterwards. The other option would have been to pull the threshold up, tighten the nut on the bottom, tighten the nut that holds that stud directly to the top portion of the threshold, and go from there. This method worked extremely well. This was probably a year ago, and we've had no return phone calls, so it seems to have worked pretty well. All that epoxy does is hold it in place so we can tighten the nut. So now that we got that all repaired and fixed, sets nicely along with that one, and everything works and holds in the center. Very, very nice. So we did a complete replacement of the upper Jackson, or we actually swapped it out with an International. I have good luck with International. Center hung closer, concealed closer. We reset the bottom bearing, epoxied it, got the nut in tight without removing the threshold. It would have been a nightmare to remove this threshold, but you could remove the threshold and get the nut tight. The bottom pivot stud does not usually wear out, and the bottom bearing was good, so we left it. Thanks for watching. Check out wayneslockshop.com for more information and detailed videos. I will also repost this video as a full-length version so you can hear all of the problems that we ran into and all of the discussion during this video. I always try and do a short summary and a long video later. Thanks for watching.